Hello and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Olubide Macaulay. Thank you for joining us. We begin with an update on the trial of Nnamdi Kanu. The detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has asked the Court of Appeal in Abuja to stay further proceedings in his trial by Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court. According to the court documents filed, Mr. Kanu is praying the appeal court to stop Justice Omotosho from delivering judgment on his case on November 20th, 2025 as scheduled, pending the hearing and determination of the appeal against the High Court decision in the case. He premised his application on the grounds that, in spite of the jurisdictional questions raised before the Federal High Court, the trial court refused to rule on them. He added that the trial court refused to evaluate the evidence of the prosecution witness vis-a-vis the cross-examination questions to determine whether the evidence was discredited under cross-examination. Now, the Department of State Services has filed a 6-count charge against Innocent Onukweme, a 27-year-old man, for allegedly calling for the overthrow of President Bola Tinubu's administration through a military coup. The resident of Omusaya local government layout, in Oyigbo local government, Rivers State, was accused of using social media to incite the military to take over power. According to the DSS, the suspect made the alleged inciting comments on his X account in October 2025. Court documents revealed that the charges were filed before the Federal High Court in Abuja and that the case was submitted on November 11 at a certain time by A.M. Danlami on behalf of the DSS. Staying with the courts, Justice Marian Anini of the Federal Capital Territory High Court today adjourned the alleged money laundering trial of the former governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yahaya Bello, to November 13, 2025. Now, the court granted the adjournment on the request of the defendant's counsel, Mr. Joseph Daudu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Both parties agreed to the adjournment for the cross-examination of the EFCC witness, Michelle Ariel, a compliance officer with Zenith Bank. At the resumed hearing of the case instituted by the EFCC against the former governor, the 6th prosecution witness was asked to give details of deposits and withdrawals from the Kogi State Government House Administration account between February 2016 and February 2018. You can find more details of this story on our Channels TV website, channelstv.com. The Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badru, has reaffirmed that the Ministry of Defense and the Military High Command remain fully committed to protecting every soldier performing lawful duty. He gave the assurance while addressing journalists at a ministerial press conference on the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration held at the National Defense College, Abuja. His comments followed public concern over the recent altercation between the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and a naval officer regarding a land development issue in Abuja.
The ministry and indeed the armed forces, I will always protect officers on local duty. So we are looking into the question and be rest assured if any officer on local duty be protected. I will not have anything to happen to him. Local duty, doing his job, and he's doing his job credibly well.
Nigerians can now write tribute to fallen heroes and say thank you for all their efforts in keeping the nation safe. They can also thank serving officers who they see have distinguished themselves in the service of the nation. The link to the electronic world will be published through all our social media handles for easy access.
The governor of Kaduna State, Senator Obasani, has emphasized the need for state policing, stressing that it becomes a necessity when the principles of lawmaking are properly understood. He made the remark at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Lagos, where he also revealed his model for addressing insecurity in his state under the topic, the role of state governments in overcoming insecurity in Nigeria.
I sponsored 4 bills to ensure that we create state police. We passed it at the level of the Senate. House of Reps also were about to pass it, but we took everything to the Constitution, to the committee. That's a joint committee for constitutional amendment by the Senate and the House. Unfortunately, we lost by 21 to 19. That is the reason why today you don't have state police in Nigeria. And the reason was simply because a lot of people do not understand the act of lawmaking. The same problem we're facing with state police, and I will make it clear to everyone. The reason why some of us are pursuing state police and ensuring that we give traditional rulers some role to play in the Constitution is simply because we are lacking boots on ground. Today in Nigeria, the entire police personnel we have, they are less than 400,000. The entire military personnel we have in Nigeria are less than 250,000. In a country of over 230 million, we have a lot of ungoverned spaces in Nigeria. You can go to some area, you can move 2 to 3 hours, you will see one so good police officer. Meaning, we regard that place as ungoverned spaces. Definitely, with what we have on ground today, what people are talking about, you need the military to be everywhere. So creation of state police is a necessity. Some of us that were in the storm, fighting for democracy, we are fighting for true federalism.
Now, the leader of the Senate, Senator Kwame Bamidele, has dismissed reports suggesting an attempt to remove the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, from office, describing them as misleading and aimed at creating unnecessary confusion and tension within the National Assembly. During plenary, the Senate leader clarified that there had been no discussion or contemplation among senators regarding Mr. Akpabio's removal. He underpinned that the Senate remains united and focused on addressing pressing national issues rather than being distracted by false reports. In the words of the Senate leader, there was no attempt by any of our colleagues nor any discussion around the possibility or otherwise of the removal of the Senate President. We are totally united and have developed a zero-tolerance attitude towards distractions because there are urgent issues of public importance that we need to attend to. Reports like that are calculated to create confusion. The clarification followed comments made by Senator Orji Kalu, representing Abia North, who recently alluded to past unsuccessful attempts to impeach the Senate President. The National Assembly has approved President Bola Tinubu's request to raise 1.15 trillion naira in the domestic debt market as part of a borrowing program to finance the unfunded portion of the 2025 budget deficit. The approval followed the adoption of a report presented by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt during plenary. In this report, it notes that the Appropriation Act provides for a total expenditure of 59.99 trillion naira, representing an increase of 5.25 trillion naira over the 54.74 trillion naira initially proposed by the executive. Meanwhile, the House of Reps has approved the President's request to borrow 1,150 billion naira from the domestic debt market to close the unfunded deficit gap created by the increase in budget size. Also, the House has passed resolutions to investigate the oil and gas sector and government abandoned property. The resolution follows 2 motions, one on the failure of oil and gas producing companies to release 3% of their annual operating expenditure to host communities, and the refusal to incorporate host communities development trust funds under the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, and another on the non-reporting and non-remittance of equity liquefied natural gas to NNPC Limited. Now, in the history of the United Nations Climate Conference, the United States, for the first time, has not sent a delegate. However, the governor of California on Wednesday did not only attend the conference, he also joined a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian government in defiance of President Trump's position about climate change and insecurity in Nigeria. Ethiopia has been confirmed as the host country for COP32. The long-confirmed Africa Cup has been Ethiopia and Nigeria vying for hosting rights, with Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed dubbing Addis Ababa a global city in climate ambition during the summit. Our correspondent Ayola Kazim reports.
He's an unusual sight at COP30, the governor of California within the blue zone and in the Nigerian pavilion with his team to sign a 5-year partnership MOU on peer-to-peer learning in the green value chain.
We don't tolerate our diversity, we celebrate.
He was quick to point out the beauty of a federal system and the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution that allows the states to form partnership even with Nigeria, a country recently designated as a country of concern by the United States President.
We're the most, as I said, un-Trump state in America. And our state of mind is very different than the president's. We don't think it's a zero-sum game. We believe in more partners. We believe in more friends. We believe that divorce is not an option. We're going to have to define the terms of our future together. And it's important to establish respect, establish relationships of trust, openness. And on the issue of climate, there's nothing more imperative that we work together across our differences. So that's our approach.
For the Nigerian government, this move is to show the start of things to come.
There's a youth element that Africa brings, and that really is one of the main advantages that will forge this collaboration and this partnership to make it a sustainable one and a longer lasting one. And so we're quite keen to see how things move forward.
Meanwhile, during a side event by the Global Alliance for Rights of Nature, there was a moment of silence in honor of Ken Saro-Wiwa.
And so remembering Ken Saro-Wiwa at an occasion like this is so significant because there are a lot of earth protectors in the world today who are threatened. They are really a threatened species. And in many countries, when you talk about the rights of nature, is considered as something that is unacceptable. And so there's a growing movement that this has been corrected. And Ken Saro-Wiwa's life and what he stood for lights up what should be done. It really it shows to the whole world the right path to take. And that is why it's so important to recognize the sacrifice that he paid and the other leaders, not just in Ogoniland, but across the world.
In the negotiating rooms, delegates are still working on how to reach agreement on some of the thorny issues.
We know what has to be done, and we are ready to deliver. And with a stronger support from our national leaders, we will do the job.
112 countries have submitted their updated national climate plans. But the United Nations Environment Programme says they still fall short of what is expected to avert the expected warming. From the Hunger Convention and Fair Center of the Amazon in Berlin, Brazil, Ayola Kazim, Channels Television News.
The capital tax gain policy is clarified by a top official in the Tinubu administration, and that's on Business News. When we come back on the news at 5, please stay with us. Welcome back to the news at 5. The Nigeria Customs Service has intercepted a huge container of cocaine weighing over 1,000 kilograms. The hard drug shipment was seized in Lagos by the Port and Terminal Multi-Services Limited Customs Command and handed over to the NDLEA. The controller of the command, Joe Anani, explains that his officers noticed suspicious packages in one of about 39 empty containers meant for export loading and decided to investigate the content, where hard drugs shipment valued at over 29 billion naira was found.
The tunnel operator brought to the attention of the command that in the process of disinfecting 39 empty containers that were brought into the country for loading of export consignment, it discovered some suspicious item in a 1x20 feet container number GCNU 1332851. The command immediately conducted joint examination on the container, with other sisters agencies. A total of 50 packages containing 20 parcels. Each were found inside the container. Rapid tests conducted on the substance found in the container tested positive for cocaine, and it was jointly weighed with officers of the Nigerian Customs Service and National Drug Law Enforcement agencies. And the total weight of the substance was found to be 1,000 kilograms, approximately 1 ton. The duty paid value of the cocaine stands at 29 billion 403 million 738,000 naira only.
Meanwhile, the NDLEA began a full-scale investigation into the massive interception of the cocaine consignment worth over $235 million at the Ports and Terminal Multi-Services Limited in Lagos, a seizure marking the largest drug bust ever recorded at the port. A statement issued by the agency's spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, confirmed that the seizure involving about 1,000 kilograms of cocaine concealed in the empty container. He disclosed that the NDLEA has begun the full-scale investigation in partnership with the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, and the UK's National Crime Agency to track down the members of the international cartel responsible for the shipment. He explained that the discovery was made after port operators detected the suspicious packages and alerted security authorities, prompting a joint inspection with the Nigeria Customs Service. According to him, field analysis later confirmed the substance to be cocaine. Welcome to Business News. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, Taiwo Oyedele, has made clear capital gains tax directive issued by the federal government. Speaking on our Business Morning program earlier today, he pointed out some of the areas of investment that are exempt from the policy, which is set to begin in January next year, as well as the benefits that come with it.
Capital gains tax is a very, I would say it's a tricky tax to pay, because when people invest and they make gains, they want to keep all of it to themselves. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria. We also looked at, leading markets in Africa. The top market, capital market in Africa is South Africa, over $1 trillion. And that's followed by Morocco, followed by Botswana, before Nigeria, and then Egypt. All these top markets in Africa have capital gains tax rates, 21%, normal CIT rate. These are things that many countries have done many years ago, and we're just doing it now. And what does that do for you is that the fact that you can have the assurance not to pay tax when you have made a net loss is a significant improvement in terms of the reform. And we also have pension funds are totally exempt. Reorganization is exempt. We also have the likes of real estate investment trusts completely exempt. In fact, one of the points we have made is this reform is not for revenue generation. So this is actually a reform that is trying to stimulate growth, bring down the cost of doing business, and reduce the risk, including when it comes to capital investment in the stock market. So I think the important thing is we'll continue with the engagement, we'll provide clarification, and then we just want people to also play their own part by ensuring that they put out the right information.
Credit to Nigeria's private sector expanded significantly in the last 2 years to an all-time high of over 117 trillion naira as of September 2025. According to the latest finding by the central bank, these include loans, trade credit, other accounts receivables, and supports provided by banks to the private sector. CBN says the growth in the credit to the private sector represented 75.9% increase against the 66.944 trillion naira figure recorded within the same period as of September 2023. CPS is a global measure of the banking sector's balance sheet resilience and contribution to the national economy. Finally, the Central Bank of the Kingdom of Eswatini says it's working to strike a balance between driving innovation in digital payment and ensuring robust consumer protection. The statement was made during the official launch of the 4th edition of the State of Instant and Payment Systems report hosted by the Africander Foundation with the Central Bank of Eswatini, the World Bank, and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa.
Our platform, because we're not only looking at the technology, but from a technology point of view, our platform is built to natively support security. The solution that we have adopted it's PCI DSS certified, meaning it enforces out-of-the-box data protection. Information is encrypted, it's secured in transit, as well as from at storage. So this already introduces us or clears the ground for us to tap into security. Within the bank, we have an information security division that are responsible for the policies, for the procedures, and even the technology that will allow us to pick up any cyber security related threat in the environment. This solution that we're speaking about, it's under 24/7 surveillance by our information security team.
This is a huge initiative by the Eswatini payments industry. This is an initiative by the Central Bank of Eswatini in partnership with banks, non-banks, and mobile money service providers to deliver this payments infrastructure for Eswatini. So with that in mind, there has been a need to establish partnerships with various supporting entities, and with African Nenda, the partnership was established in early 2025 as technical assistance to the project to provide just guidance and also lessons learned from other jurisdictions as they were implementing similar projects. And they have been very instrumental in helping us in terms of sharing their experiences and as well as providing technical expertise in various aspects of the project.
And that's it on the news at 5. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay.